Welcome back to the Vinno and Dave show. We are back. We are back after a long time off. Finally, the devious duo has returned to YouTube. The Hounds of Banterville. That's right. The Banter Boys are back in town. Vinno, brother, what's going on?
And it's been heaps going on. It's we've had nearly been 3 months, 2 months or something like that off.
Yeah.
There's been
the Christmas
heaps.
break.
Yeah, the Christmas break and more.
There has been heaps, but there's been a little bit more than heaps on your side. You've welcomed a new member of the brood, a new member of your tribe.
We have, man.
Little Theodore.
Theo.
How's that going, bro?
It's going good. Like it's a challenge, just in the sense that before Christmas we moved as well, so trying to settle
as
everything.
You can see, everybody.
Yeah, the new background.
How about that?
Oh, dude, I'll get into that in a second, but yeah, it's been a challenge. Like we knew that having two, as you would know, having two would be hectic.
Changes the dynamic a lot, right?
It does, man. Yeah, and you know he's been a little bit unsettled, just getting lots of wind and just not settling. So that makes it hard. There's been plenty of days there where, you know, wake up or before you go to bed the night before, you go, yeah, I've got going to do this, or, you know, set yourself all your chores for the next day, and it's been a restless night. You might have only had an hour's sleep, and wake up the next day and just go, yeah, none of that's getting done today. Like it's
walking zombies, eh?
Dude, yeah, and taking it in turns to stay up and sleep and all that. Like it's but look, yeah, he's going well. He's healthy. He's starting to get those chunky legs. Yeah. And, you know, eats like a trooper. So it's that he's going really well. We couldn't be happier. You know, it's
and the love, right? The love.
Oh man,
you don't, because there's, you have the first kid and you realize, holy shit, like I couldn't imagine my life before this without this love, without this little person, little character. And then you have another one, and before you know, like you're pregnant and all, and you're waiting for it to come. You're like, oh my god, is it going to be the same? Is it going to be this? And then bam, you get that crazy love you can't explain, just comes into your house, and man, I'm so happy for you guys. It's just
thanks, man.
Awesome shit, man.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's I will say we were a lot more relaxed leading up to it this time.
Been there, right?
Yeah, and you've got all the stuff. You know, remember the first time. You're worried about whether you've got everything you need, and you find out.
Am I changing the nappy right? Am I burping them right? Am I fucking?
Well, even the Muslim rats, right? So in the hospital,
have you got your swaddle on? You forgot?
No, the first one I did, it was a bit messy, but I was like, oh yeah, I'll wrap him up, and started doing it. I'm like, fuck, I remember this, and just did it. And like I said, it was messy. Like there was bits hanging out everywhere, and I went, yeah, fuck yeah, I still got this shit. Like,
yeah, mate. Nah, man, I'm a bit of a fucking expert now on swaddling. I've even swaddled them. Who's the missus, everybody out there.
That was before they had kids.
Fuck it. I can swaddle anything now, man.
That's how she felt pregnant, man.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Maisie is exactly 9 months. Was born exactly 9 months after my birthday.
Yeah.
So you can tell what I got for fucking my birthday.
Yeah, man. But
man, how's it all going? What's it up? What was the situation around it? And
man, well, it was
hectic, right?
Well, we'll go back before Chrissy, because like we'd made the decision with the extra one coming that we either needed to put extensions on the other house, like the old house, or buy something else, move. Just we didn't have enough space in that other house, so we found this place that we ended up buying and loved it. Like,
I remember you sharing it to us before you bought it. You're like, dudes, this is the one I want. You know, and I had a look through it. I was like, that is a fucking beautiful.
Well, we're at Smokes Bucks, house. Remember?
Yeah.
Smokes Bucks on the bus, and showing everyone the photos, going, you know, we're in this process at the moment, and
good weekend.
Yeah, it was. And,
no, but and I remember you had it, and usually when you're going through that house buying process, you have, I love this house, and then you lose it. And I love this house, and then an auction happens and you lose it, and it's out you. Well, it worked out, right?
It did. We weren't sure whether we were going to lose it or not. So during the process, obviously interest rates went up, and at one stage, like through the loan process, they balked at everybody, and they just went, hang on a minute. So we were nearly at the line, and then they went, oh, hang on, let's just stop and review everything. And we just went, oh, we're going to lose this house now because of this. But it managed to go through, and there was no hiccups in that sense. But we had an awesome broker. It was Reese's dad and his stepmom.
Hey, Big
Davey, man, he was just unreal. Like, if you're in the Singleton area, or even if you're not, and you want, loans, go and see Liberty Finance, Dave Thielander, because he does an unreal job. He bent over backwards for us and got it over the line and helped us. And but it ended up being quite hectic, because we got the keys on the 20th of December and essentially had 24 hours to.
That's a rough fucking date to get keys.
Dude, that was my mum's birthday, right? So mum's birthday, she had COVID. So she had the shits anyway. Yeah. Got the keys at 12 o'clock.
Happy birthday.
Had to have the keys handed over the next day. So we had 24 hours. And obviously the fear with Rin being so close to the due date, or getting closer, was she going to what we're doing. And at one stage, so we had the Source Boss, Hixie, Prestige Plumbing and Gas, if I can get on it. Get on it. We had one of my younger brothers, his girlfriend, and dad, and Corinne's dad. They're helping us move. And it was, the house is just in disarray because we're moving stuff out. People are trying to clean at the same time. And we were loading everything out through the garage. And I've come back in from the garage, to grab the next load. And Bryn was standing in the kitchen, sort of bracing herself, breathing heavy. And I'm like, nah, fuck, not today. Of all time, like, I don't care if it's tomorrow afternoon, right? We're not doing this now. So I was nearly at the point.
Worst case scenario.
Yeah. I was nearly at the point where I was going to start, rummaging through boxes to find, bottle stoppers and shit, like anything just to stop it. Anyway, she said, no, it's just, Braxton Hicks, I'm okay.
That's your fault for bringing over fucking Hicksy, bringing on the fucking Braxton Hicks.
Yeah, I was at that moment. I was stressing, like, it was not too bad through most of the day until that moment. And then I walked in, I'm like, fuck, nah, we can't be doing this. We'd already had a few false starts already at that point. So my last day of work, I took off early. I had to take off early because she messaged me and she said, I'm getting some pains. I'm not sure whether they're contractions. So because we had to go down to Maitland, right, and Maitland from here is about 45 minutes of an afternoon with that traffic. That's
a long trip.
It is
when shit's going down like that.
Yeah. Well, that was my fear the first time. Like, I said, I don't want to be starting to deliver this baby on the side of the road, like.
Mate.
Because I would have, especially with the first one, I'd have no fucking idea what I'm doing. So
you're gonna have to chew that cord off,
man. Yeah.
Bring out the Gerber.
I would have been fucking hopeless. But so because we had to go to Maitland and of an afternoon, the traffic is just fucking hectic. So it might take an hour to an hour and a half, to get down there. And when she said that, I went, right, I'm going. Because if we do have to go down there and she is in labour, I don't want to be getting caught in traffic and that risk happening.
Be safe and sorry, mate.
Yeah, it was a false start. There was one afternoon, or one night, sorry, not long after we moved in. I was down here just, unpacking boxes and stuff, and I walked upstairs and she's doing paces around the house and breathing heavily, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, how long's this been happening for? And she said, about half an hour. I'm like, okay. You got them pains? And she said, yeah, they're there. So I rang the midwives, just like we're one street over from Singleton Hospital, right? So if she didn't have gestational diabetes, we'd be in the perfect spot because we could just go there. But they won't see her, or they won't deliver the baby with her having gestational diabetes because class is high risk. So
Maitland hospitals are much bigger, much better.
Heaps better set up, and it's a new hospital too. Like new hospital, it's brand new.
Suite's nice.
They were, dude. Yeah. Bathtubs, ensuite, all that sort of stuff.
Oh man, those
Massive
bathtubs
room.
helped them so much when she was going through this contraction. So much she had to get out because it was chilling her out too much. It was like stopping them or something. So like, get the hell out of there.
No, Rin couldn't have one. That's all she wanted to do was get in the bath and have one.
Shit.
But because she had all the monitors on there the whole time.
It's a relief. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor thing, mate.
Yeah. So it was the first time as well she wasn't allowed to jump in the bath, but especially this time they said like not a chance because you've got the sensors and stuff on and
yeah, you got to monitor as well.
Yeah.
With gestational diabetes, you got to be on the ball, Roy.
Dude, they they were right on it. They were fantastic. The midwives.
Yeah.
Like they're very, very patient women. Let me just say that.
Dude. Oh man, I
and fucking brave.
Just like when I was there at the end of last year, you gotta just tip your hat to them. They're just they're out there doing God's work. You know what I mean? Like they're fucking, dude, unreal midwives. I'd love to have one on. I'd love to have one on to chat with them about the crazy shit, and especially from reacting to mad husbands.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they were fantastic.
How'd Rin go?
Hated it. She got induced. And I remember we were talking about this prior to us going down there because telling me about Em's experience and
jungle juice.
Yeah, dude. So we went down there on the Monday, and then she was supposed to be taken down and water broken Tuesday morning. So that was the 10th, Tuesday the 10th. There's just a cat walking through.
That's all right.
Different cat from...
Elvin, I've got pussy walking around in the background.
It's that pool table, man. Draws a man.
Yeah, man. The ladies love that pool table and the drum kit. Oh, you're in a band?
It doesn't work like that, trust me.
But how did she go with the jungle juice anyway? Which for anyone listening,
so
it's an IV that helps that they use to help with inducing pregnancy, and they kind of up it up and up and up, and they kind of give you these. They bring on contractions basically, and they can get pretty fucking. It can get pretty quick.
The midwife explained it to us, and it was a pretty good explanation because she put it in layman's terms, obviously.
We're layman.
Yeah. So she, as she said, and this was like afterwards, with Rin asked a question and said, why was that so intense? And they went, well, look, naturally when your body goes into labour, starts producing adrenaline as well, but it gets attuned to the contractions and the little ones.
Regulates itself.
Yeah, the little ones you don't so much feel. They're there, but you don't feel them as much because your body's already in that mindset that it's blocking it out for you. But with jungle juice, because you're not given that time, you feel every contraction, because she was at one stage just going, it's like the contractions just didn't stop, whereas the first time when she went naturally, and that was when the nurse explained, she said, yeah, like every contraction you're feeling, because your body, by the time you have the baby, your body's only just starting to get into a rhythm, and so it's just hectic. But I mean, it did make for some, I didn't laugh at the time, I'm not that stupid, but it made for some funny interactions. Like she was just so over it at one stage. Leading up to the birth, she was adamant she was not going to have a seizure, right? She was just, did not want to be cut open while she was awake, not having a Caesar. So about 4 hours in, the poor bugger's just over it. She grabbed this midwife by the arm and she just went, I want to have a C-section. And this midwife was chilled as, man. She was like, no, darling, you don't need it. And instantaneously, man, Rin went from being like this soft-spoken, innocent little girl to like the chick from The Exorcist, like the voice and everything.
Reagan, yeah.
Man, she went, give me a fucking Caesar. And like I heard
Caesar.
I heard this tone in her voice, and I'm like, just all right. I will go up and start prepping the theater. Like, I'm not arguing with this woman. But this midwife just looked at her again, patted her on the hand, went, "You'll be fine, dear." And like I just thought
She's
to myself,
aware. She's aware of the
she
plan.
is.
She knows beforehand. She knows what's going to happen, and she knows. All right, this girl's not going to be in her right mind, because you wouldn't be, man. Your body's going through crazy shit. Yeah,
she dealt with
Rin's
it perfectly. But if that was
happy
me,
with them,
if that was me, and like I heard that voice change, I'd be like, yeah, no, Clayton's just entered the room, man. Like I'm gonna do whatever.
No worries, honey. No worries, honey.
But she just patted
the
her.
knife.
She just patted her and went, "It's okay, dear. You'll be fine." And I remember looking at this midwife, just going, "You are one brave bitch." Like that's just.
They don't play, mate. They don't play. They're serious. They bring life into the world. They're rough.
Yeah.
We had a little old lady, man. She was because the the strap they have on them to monitor the contractions.
Yeah, yep.
That wasn't working for Em for some reason. So the midwife just had her hand on Em's belly and was able to time the contractions with her hand and shit. And she's like fucking Mr. Miyagi or something, mate. Wow. I was like, this woman.
Nah, see, Rin had a similar thing, but they ended up having to put a probe on top of the little dude's head because they were so worried at one stage because they hadn't had a decent reading for about half an hour. And I started to get a bit worried because they hit it pretty well, but you could tell that they were starting to get worried about it as well. And Rin,
the way they talk to each other, and
and Rin was sort of unresponsive just because the contractions were so intense. They were asking her questions, and she was just not.
Well, she's in it. She's in
a zone, man.
Battle, right? Yeah.
She's a trooper. She did so. Like we've said it before. I just don't know how we do it, but she was in a zone. So they was trying to say, "Look, darling, we need to put this probe in." And every time they spoke to her, and they were trying to get consent, obviously. Anyway, I got to the point where I said, like, they're going to put this probe in because we need to check, they need to check and make sure that the baby's okay. And all I got with her was, I went,
that's a yes from me.
She's, put the probe in, and she did it. And then when afterwards she said, what was happening with the band and all that, and midwife explained it, and she said, well, why didn't you just do it? And they went, because darling, we can't just whack stuff in. So
because everyone's got that pregnancy plan A, and so they have to make sure that any changes that go away from what was planned and what you might be either comfortable with or had in mind, they've got to just make sure, right? But how did she go? So how did she go? What was the point after the monitor and the baby?
Yep. So I think it was 6 hours after they induced her or started the jungle juice, he coming out, but they were nearly getting to the point of getting the forceps out because she was just exhausted, and they were going to, at one stage they gave her local anesthetic because they said, look, you're dilated, but head's getting trapped. We're going to have to put a cut in just to open it up. And Rin heard they were going to cut her, and she was like, nope, and just started pushing and pushing and pushing. And then he came out, and he was blue, and they quickly whisked him away
over the table.
The table, and I followed because I remember when Ollie came out and he started crying straight away, right? So when Theo came out, and this lady came and grabbed him, the pediatrician or whatever they are, the baby doctors, I think it is. No, it's pediatricians for feet, isn't it?
Let's call them baby doctors.
Baby doctors, right?
Pediatrician.
Pediatrician. That's with P, I'm pretty sure.
Might be a pediatrician. Look, we don't know. It could be a pediatrician. We've got to just give this little fella a pedicure.
Could be a gypsy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's most likely that.
She's came and grabbed him and whisked him away. So I'm like, right, I'm following this baby. I obviously check with Vin's okay. Like there was doctors everywhere.
Yeah, they're fixing her up and stuff at the time.
Yeah, checking. So I went straight over to baby, and I'd heard the stories of him, smacking the baby on the ass and stuff like that. But I'm standing there, sort of somewhat peeking, going, is he okay? Because something. They seemed quite urgent with how fast they whisked him away, and I think it was inexperience because that didn't happen the first time. And anyway, she's just sort of rolling him around, giving him this big smack, and he started crying. And she's looked at me and she went, "He's fine." And I went like, "Is he?" Like that was
just took a smack.
Yeah, can we get an X-ray of his spine now? But she gave him the smack and he started crying. Anyway, then she just did a couple more checks and she went, "He's got really healthy lungs. You've got a healthy baby boy." And from that moment, I was like, "Thank fuck."
Yeah.
It just all took a big breath.
Did they put him on her?
Yeah. So then they took him back and put him on her. And
what a moment.
Cat fucking walking around again.
I love that cat, mate. What's the cat's name? Two cats, right?
That's Isla. That's the black and white one. The orange.
And what about the ginger?
The ginger is Elmo, man. He's a chiller. Yeah, they're both good, but they're definitely loving the new house as well. A bit more room to move around, but
yeah. Are they outside? Can they go outside or anything?
Nah, so they're both rescues.
They get lost in that big garden.
Yeah, and because they're both rescues, when we picked them up, they said caught outside. If they get caught or picked up from somewhere and they get microchipped, you'll never get them. And we went, nah, look, that's understandable. Where we were at Garden Circuit, we didn't want them out anyway.
Yep.
Given that the main
Heaps
road,
of dogs.
Well, the main road as well was so busy, and cars. It was supposed to be 50k zone, but cars were flying up and down.
Oh man, I lived on Gardner Circuit in Wilcox. Yeah. That road, mate. That's the fucking road. Belters down that road. Man,
so we went, no, they'll stay inside, and they've never. If they were to go outside now, they wouldn't know it.
There'd be aliens to it.
There he is.
Nah, but
there's the orange one.
Little Elmo. Having a little peek around the drums. Going to chill out there, I'm guessing, underneath the pool table.
Cruising through. Hey, just fucking. They love it down here. It's plenty of space for them. But yeah, look.
How's little Theo going home now? You brought him home? Then to the new
so
place.
we got him home. I think she was in there for another 2 nights.
Oh yeah. How is she recovering in there? Everything okay? And
yeah, so they were trying to get his levels right, so his blood sugar levels. So
a little prick on the hand and feet and everything like that.
Yeah, so there was a bit of an issue with Oliver when they did him originally, right? When they did it, there wasn't enough blood flow to his foot. Yeah, so they went. He ended up going into the boxes, the clear boxes, because they went
incubator.
Yep, and they went. His blood sugar's too low. Danger.
Scary. Yep.
Yeah, but and it was a midwife. 2 days later, I was in the nursery where they had him, and every level that he got after that, I think the next one was still off, but every level after that was spot on. And the midwife said to me at the time, she's like, what's the history? She already obviously knew, and I said, well, this is she had gestational diabetes, blah blah blah. She said, were you there when they tested the first time? And I went, yeah, I was. She went, how long was it? And I went, probably half an hour, 45 minutes after. And she sort of rolled her eyes, like me not knowing what the go was, and she went, would have been not enough blood flow. She said, I don't think this baby ever needed to be down here. And then she went back and looked at charts and stuff, and she said, no, he can leave here. I don't think he was ever supposed to be. We were a little bit annoyed. Yeah, we were a little bit annoyed, but at the same time, we're like, well, better safe than sorry, right? So,
especially that, I can get why you'd be annoyed, because that first 24 hour, 48 hours, man, that's the hibernation
time. Yeah, and they hibernate. You know, as you know, they
Sleep heaps.
sleep. So he missed out on that because every 2 hours getting woken up to feed because they needed to pump that breast milk into him.
Colostrum.
So this time,
did you have a heap of colostrum and everything?
yeah, she
ready?
had heaps.
Yep.
Yeah. Rin, both times, Rin was so organised and so prepared with, you know, the colostrum, all of those sorts of things. She just and throughout the whole period. So this one with gestational diabetes, with having to take insulin, she didn't miss a beat.
Oh man,
she was on the dot.
Poor Rin, first off, and all power to her. They have to go through gestational diabetes and the build up to before you give birth, and the amount of insulin and the increasing.
I think it was 11 pricks a day she had to give herself. That was between needles and pricking a finger. And she didn't miss. She might have missed in the whole time, maybe 1 or 2. Was a bit late, but she was on the dot every time. Correct amount of insulin. Like, she's just so on the ball with that sort of stuff. I know if that was me, you know, if I've got to take medication or any fix for anything, you know, I'll be right for the first 2 days, and then after that, you know,
fuck it, I'll take 2 today, make up for it.
But she didn't miss,
good on her,
miss
mate.
one. So, and then with the colostrum, she had it in a little bag already.
Little syringes, fridge,
no,
freezer.
in little containers that we got from the last time.
Like
little plastic.
with she found it very hard with getting the colostrum out and breastfeeding. It wasn't really working, so we were just getting syringes out, and you know, like the little syringes they give you to seep up the colostrum. But we've had barely any, and by the end, because she couldn't breastfeed, we were just straight into fairly quickly straight into the top up in formula.
Yep.
But that's good. It's good that she had that at least on her side. Rin, she, you know, it's pumping.
Well, we went straight to 50-50, or essentially 50-50 because with Oliver, 4 weeks in, he wasn't putting on weight. And a lot of that went down, as the doctor said, a lot of it went down to the fact that because he wasn't getting enough, he was crying heaps and staying awake. And
you
being
can't tell either.
Well, first time parents, man, we're like, what are we doing wrong? You know, what's going on? We weren't sure at what stage he should have been starting to put on weight. But when we went to the doctor and he went, look, not getting enough, you're not getting enough milk, and you're producing even less now because you're exhausted. Your body's just sort of not producing much. He said, so you need to go on the bottle. So we went on the bottles 4 weeks.
What was he like?
Man, complete difference after that. But he just whacked on the weight really quick. He was getting enough, so he was sleeping fucking perfect. Whereas this time we went, righto, we're going to do somewhat 50-50, one so that I could, if Rim was having a sleep, I could feed.
Yeah.
And she was expressing as well. So, you know, if she was having a good sleep, might have 2 bottles in that time. And obviously she's asleep. I'm not going to whack the cups on her and start milking her there, right? So, you know, we might have had one of breast milk, one of formula.
But what a relief to be able, at least you know it, because with breast milk, it's hard to figure out how much he's getting, right? Yeah. Like we had that problem with Maisie. We had to call the midwives in because, again, she wasn't putting on weight. And they're like, okay, look, you're not producing enough breast milk, go on the formula. And just like you say, it's like night and day. Fucking Maisie was just like, fucking thank God. Like, but with Michael on the second one, we were kind of like, okay, look, if we're not able to get the breast milk out, we're straight into the formula. There was no worry about it, and we kind of avoided that. But oh man, it's great to see another little healthy baby, right, mate?
Man, we couldn't be happier. We're very, very blessed in that sense that, you know, he's come out. I'm gonna have to get probably another job or start doing overtime just to pay for the feeds because he's just smashing the food away, which is good. Like
that's what, especially good. This time, you need the weight banging on him. Yeah,
absolutely. But
get the leg folds.
Yeah, he's got it, man. He's looking like the Michelin Man at the moment. But yeah, look, it's been a whirlwind couple of months. I will just say quickly, apologies to Mika and Darcy. We'll talk about this a bit later on, but so essentially,
cool.
we'll talk about it a bit now. So, just before Christmas, we we're going to release an episode that we'd recorded a little bit before, and during
interview,
because I had to pack up, move house, and all those sorts of things. I got halfway through editing and all that, and then moving in here, and then the baby being born. It was 3/4 of the way done with finishing touches, and we just haven't released it. It'll come out episode 2 of this year, so it is still coming
after this episode next week, everybody.
Yeah. But apologies,
check that shit out.
Apologies, boys, because we haven't been in touch too much. Or
well, they're touring right now, aren't they?
I think
have they finished yet?
I think Darcy's not. And
he had to take it off. Yeah,
I won't go into that. It's personal stuff, but yeah.
But he was on the show as well. So,
yes.
Next week for sure, check that out.
Jump
No
on.
Border Punk Band. Oh, it was a great interview.
It was a really good episode. Really enjoyed doing it too, recording it, and there was a few rough looking heads by the end of it because
oh man, we got on the piss a bit there.
There's been a few drinks. Yeah, it was, so that'll keep an eye out for next week because that'll be coming out. But just be aware there's references to it launching before Christmas, but now you know why it didn't come out before Christmas. It's been busy couple of months, so. But we're starting to settle, or we've pretty well settled now in the new house. Still got some boxes, as you always do, some things to unpack and whatnot, but we're loving it. So, but we've got, got a pool now, and which has been awesome.
Pool table. You got the drums set up again. Are you happy about? Have you been having a little whack or what?
No, I haven't.
Babies, mate.
Look, a couple, but yeah, it's sort of just trying to keep it somewhat quiet for the moment.
Soundproof that dungeon, bro.
I do. I even thought about like putting all extra, and soundproofing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because this is all brick wall, right? So it's just gonna fucking resonate. Motion here, but right above us, pretty well right above me is our room, which is where Theo's sleeping moment. So I've set them up, and I think quick run. But this is because one of my kits is still out at mum and dad's. I've still got a couple of things out there from when we moved or prior to moving. So I got given this one from a really good mate of mine before he moved over to WA. So I set it up, and I was just essentially tuning it, and then I took the snare off, so I haven't got the snare set up there at the moment.
Where's my snare?
Yeah,
say.
Where's the snare? So because
where's my snare?
I just wanted to clean it up, and not that it was filthy, but spend a bit of time on the snare just to get it sounding exactly how I want it to. So it's in the garage on the workbench at the moment, just pulled apart while I tidy it up. So, but at some stage, I'll set the big kit up, get into it, because I didn't have it.
We can have a little play. We can have a little jam. We could do a little jam.
Could.
I'll get the fucking Ibanez, hook it up to the amp. Fucking hook
Beautiful. Sounds good. But yeah, because I wasn't able to set it up at the old house, because we didn't have enough room.
You had it in the garage, didn't you? All
it was all in
up.
bags. Yeah, it was all in bags, packed up. So because once I'd finished playing in Taken by Force, it was pretty much stayed in bags from then on out. But I said to Rin, now that we've got the space and everything, that it will be coming out, and we're having a whack on it again, because I miss playing it.
Man, it'd be good to see it, yeah.
So, but looking forward to it.
Yeah, fuck yeah. But here we are.
What's
Two
been
fucking mad dads.
Oh, dude.
Look, same shit basically. We had a little Michael there, on November, was it the 5th of November, and yeah, it's basically just been that. It's all Maisie dealing with Michael, and she's doing great. She's embracing being a big sister, and she's just loving it, and kisses him, cuddles him every day, talks to him, and it's just, we've been very, very, very lucky. He's doing well. He's just like the happiest, smiliest little fella.
Yeah, nice.
So we've just been in that. We've been kind of a lot, like you said, a lot more chilled this time around, and I think that's coming through in Michael. He's feeding off us a little bit, and nah, man, we're loving it. We're just loving life at the moment. Work's cracking back on again, and we're back into the year. Man, that's all, you know.
We're into what's the end of February, nearly in March. Like, where's that time? Oh man, it's been. I mean, it's hard when we have breaks because there's so much that happens as well that we want to talk about, and you know, we feel like we miss some, but then, you know, it's gonna be fucking heavy. But
every week there's gonna be some crazy shit,
dude.
Like, you know, well, because we obviously we like to pay attention a little bit to the drama in America, and then
hasn't that been a shit show?
Oh man, we will be doing something like a little segment to contain the American topics. It'll be, but we'll work on that. So pay attention. Won't be the No Quarter interview because that was obviously filmed a week or so before Christmas last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a lot of plans for what we're gonna do in here. But yeah, any topics that kind of piqued your interest once we are gone, or that happened now, like the whole was that the East Palestine or Ohio train derailment, or
that was
you didn't pay attention to that at all?
That was one that I did pay attention to, obviously because of, you know, my job as it is.
You're a fucking train driver.
Yeah, so you hear about some things, and I don't know all the details about it, but seeing what's unfolding day to day there, and how catastrophic it is, and
it's three weeks now.
It is. Yeah.
So obviously, anyone who doesn't know, so a train that was carrying toxic chemicals basically had a derailment in East Ohio, and it just spilled toxic chemicals onto the ground, into the waterways. They were releasing them into the air from the damaged cars as they burnt. They were also burning off chemicals themselves, like they were finding a couple of days later that there was you know, all these chemicals possibly in the water, and yeah, there's a whole lot of blame going around, like whether the fucking what's Pete Buttigieg? He's the fucking transportation, not minister. What did he? Transportation.
There was
secretary.
a bit of talk. There was a bit of talk about whether the train or the legislation, and it might be, like I said, I haven't looked at that side of it too much. It's
the regulation,
side,
right?
Yeah. About whether they had laxed those and the train being overloaded across that network.
And it was regulations around basically
transportation of dangerous goods,
new brakes, and regulations around, you know, the maintenance of brakes and trains and stuff like that as well. And not to be, because there's blame to go all around, but what Donald Trump did, he axed them in pretty much a big ceremony. He had, if you ever get a chance to look on YouTube or whatever, look at the video. He had you standing beside it like a pile of paper, and then a pile of paper from like the 1960s that was real small. And he's like, this is all the regulation and red tape that they plan on bringing in the new year and all, and I'm gonna cut it. And he cut a ribbon and all, and he's like, no more red tape for business and all. And as we know, like, you're a train driver, I work in health and safety, like regulations, they save lives, they keep people safe. And you have Pete Buttigieg now showed up, obviously, and a lot of blame goes on the Biden administration too, because Trump's not president anymore.
Yeah.
When he left, if you're the side for regulation, if that's what you're for, don't wait until now you have to make corrective actions and find root causes. There could have been preventative measures come in, but they didn't do it. Now, obviously, now they're going to see the Democrats will be like, let's bring these regulations back in now. There's the EPA is doing a investigation at the moment. So when that's ended, they'll obviously find the root cause. They'll put in corrective actions. We'll bring Yeah, I mean, what did they say? That they're actually going to make it's Norfolk, what they call them, the company, but South Norfolk or Norfolk South or Southern or whatever is the train company, and the EPA has said, look, yous are going to pay for the entire catastrophe and the cleanup.
Well,
now I don't know what that means to
Joe
people.
Biden did actually say that if they don't pay for it, then they're going to be hit with, I think it was 300% of what it's going to cost the government.
Yeah,
to fix it,
and
so.
rightfully so. And he did, and to Joe Biden's credit as well. And you see this a lot with presidents. They'll come in and say, "Hey, let me know what you need," and even the politicians there in Ohio, depending on which ones you hit, are all like, "Okay, yeah," like the EPA and everyone, that they're really trying to, do what they can at the moment. But I think the big problem came the communication with the people of Palestine and East Palestine, and
the early
and really
warning and all those sorts of things.
well, that's right, and they're seeing animals and birds die and stuff like that, and they're getting itchy and rashes, and some of that obviously is going to be not real, and some of it's going to be real, and some of it's going to be related and not, and we're going to have to find out with an investigation when it comes out. But
well, the scary thing
so
is,
far no one's died, which is
but what are going to be the flow-on effects, right? So people might not die now, but it's going to be interesting to watch. Well, not interesting, but scary and sad to see the flow-on effects, right? So in 20 years' time, even 10 years' time, the rates of cancer and other illnesses that arise from exposure to these sorts of things that don't show their head instantly. It's I was only thinking the other day when I was listening to a podcast about it, and I thought, I wonder if this is going to be another Erin Brockovich, type thing.
well, she actually spoke about it as well.
Yeah, but
it could be, sadly, I mean, like you said, 10, 20, 30 years down the track, I mean, these things get in the in the waterways. They're slow killers, carcinogenic. I get now the argument against the burn-offs. I think they would have had safe work procedures and emergency procedures with these chemicals, and the best thing to do, I guess, to stop a further explosion is to do to burn off the chemicals. Maybe that's best practice. Again, the investigation will come in and see if there was anyone doing the wrong thing. And I think what people need to realize as well, in any work incidents and accidents like this, you have a plan of what to do. However, in those situations, sometimes the plan and the way people react to the plan and it goes to shit. And with the less and less regulation you have, and the less red tape you put on people in terms of training and make sure that they're qualified in response to this, I think you might see some more backlash in that. If anything good can be taken out of it, again, it's what we learn from it, and how do we prevent it from happening again? But is that too late for the folks of fucking Ohio? And you.
Oh, look, I think
you're getting. I think like other cities are finding it. They're monitoring it right now, waterways and everything. But
I think like many disasters, man, it takes a disaster to learn from it. But then you've got the old Swiss cheese model, and you'd be more than aware of this being in the health and safety industry. But we're breaking the whole lead up to it down and where it's gone wrong and trying to.
They'll be doing Ishikawa diagrams, and they'll be doing the 5 whys, and they'll find the root cause. They will, and if it's a transparent investigation and they release it, which they'll have to, because the whole industry's going to have to learn from this. That's what happens. Hopefully we'll find something we can stop again and put in those change policy and do what's needed to do.
It's just sad, and it's that it gets to the stage where people are.
It's too late.
Yeah, it is. It is too late. It's never good. But the big thing is that we learn from it and it doesn't happen again. It's like
the conspiracies around it, though, right? Like you have the
Dude,
left. Is all
we've
like,
gotta
oh,
do-
this is because of the.
we've gotta
Trump."
do
We
a-
probably could dig into that more when the truth comes out and the investigation comes out. It'll be good to see the people that were just hysterical and sensationalist and using it for political game and you know, weaving weird stories. Like, again, like, there are some people that'll be like, it's all Trump's fault because he acts the regulations. But then it's like, well, the buck stops with you. You're in charge now. Why didn't you bring him in? And then you've also other people are saying, oh, it's a distraction away from the UFOs. And then you'll have people saying, oh, it's the UFOs distracting away from Ohio. And then it's like, oh, it's Russia.
I heard one that it's insane. Like I enjoy conspiracy theories for the reason.
Oh, man.
They are
Same as Marvel movies.
Some
It's
of them
fun.
are fucking insane. Yeah, but the one was that you know, the train was deliberately derailed by Putin, and I'm by no stance a Putin sympathizer. Right? Putin derailed the train to poison the waterway, to kill off the population, so
random.
that he can. Oh man, it just went on.
So random.
I was watching. It was on TikTok. I was watching this video, and it was just someone spouting this shit, and I'm like, would love to just spend even half an hour in your crazy shit that you, because it just went on and on and on, right? So the funny part was that it started off somewhat of a credible story, not a credible.
They all do.
thing.
They have to. They have to be based in some sort of logic.
It started off, and you could sort of go, "Oh yeah, that's a possibility." You know, it's not completely impossible. And then from like 12 seconds in, just went fucking batshit crazy, man. And I was sitting there laughing my ass off. Just like, surely this person is either trolling, because if somebody is thinking like that, then I really feel sorry for them, because it was insane. You know, that Putin was trying to eliminate the people in that area so that then he could use sonic lasers to notify the aliens come and land in the location, that they can start the invasion, and that Putin was part of the lizard people and shit. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, whatever you're smoking, one, we need to test it. Two, you know,
I think I need to test that.
yeah,
You know,
just
like,
to see,
yeah.
just to see, as long as you come out of it, you know, like.
Yeah, I'll have a look and see
funny.
how he's going for a while. But
Oh, man.
with all conspiracy theories, I think it all kind of starts in, you have this echo chamber, right? So if you're on the right or the left or the conspiracy verse, or you're red pill blue, whatever you are, okay, you're getting all your news from one source, and then all of a sudden you're a content creator on TikTok or wherever you are. Everyone that's watching you is expecting you to come out with
The next crazy shit.
these type of take. Yes, so they're almost competing with batshit responses to things that are very, like, the experts right now are monitoring. They've got, you know, they'll have tools and they'll have a lot of different equipment in there, and they're the professionals, and it has to be done over a certain amount of time, and you know, they have to figure it out. But no, these guys on TikTok have figured it out. You know, like.
But it's the people that enable it too. So the people that do get on there and go, oh yeah, you know, you might be right. So then they start believing more, or doubling down on their beliefs, whatever the fuck it is that their theory is that they're talking about. Because it's not just one theory that they fucking.
They all
Every
connect.
event.
They all connect. Yeah.
Yeah, Illuminati, man. They come.
Oh, the lizard folk. You know what? That was one of my first, I think.
The lizard
did
folk.
the 9/11
that's the
JFK.
fucking best, man. The lizard folk conspiracy.
We need to have
in
a
itself.
fucking top 10 conspiracy theories come on and have a chat about them, because it's
Dude.
funny. Like, it was it's actually one of the things that kind of got me into politics when I was a kid, was conspiracy theories. So it was the 9/11 loose change, the zeitgeist, then getting into and
See, I
obviously being a
enjoyed
little
that.
bit political.
But see, I enjoyed some of those. Some of them are really good, right? Because and Zeitgeist is a perfect example of this. They've put a conspiracy theory forward, and then they've put supporting evidence which is, it does make you question a lot of things, right? They put their argument forward in an articulated and sensible manner that honestly makes you sit there and go, oh. And being a 3-part series, right? So the Egyptian one was really interesting.
It was religion, Horus and the origins of Jesus. That was the one that really
the way they
me.
presented that. I was like, yep, you've got me on that one. I'm convinced, or you've convinced me enough. And then they went to 9/11, and they went to the Rockefeller.
Funny.
Yeah, and but they
it all
still
ends in the Jews. They always,
yeah.
However, all these conspiracy theories, however good they start off the start, and the information they bring in, and the corroborating evidence, and they put it together beautifully in a video for you, and they pair it with all these stuff, and it's great. But always by the end, there's always lizard peoples and Jews, and that's when they.
You can
growing
see
up, I
through
was
the
like,
bullshit.
fucking hell.
And you can see through the bullshit.
It's a letdown.
It is, but it's not just flat out crazy because of the way that they present the evidence, or what they perceive as evidence. It's not like a flat earther, right? Where they are just coming at you with absolute bullshit and no supporting evidence, no credible source. It's just flat out bullshit. The way they presented that documentary, and I watched it with Reese actually. And like I said, the first part, the religion one, I was like, righto,
it makes
got
sense,
me questioning.
right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've never been religious, but the way they presented that and lined it up, I was like, ooh, okay, yep, got me there.
It made that connection though,
absolutely,
between all the Abrahamic religions in ancient Egypt and then in Babylon and all, about how originally they're all just stories and sun worship, right? It's worshipping the sun, and it's about knowing. And the reason why they personified it and made this, they needed to teach people how to when to harvest your grain, when to how to time the solstice, how to time the year and the calendar, and they did that by putting little stories around. And those stories just got way out of fucking hand. The Son of God is God's son, and it raises it dies. So on Jesus's death, his crucifixion, around the Southern Cross, you can see the sun die, because it goes down for them below the sunrise, right? And then the Jesus rose days later, and that's kind of how it perceived the people at that time of the at that period in time. So you can see them kind of personifying it in a way, and then the more dictators and kings and warlords that got hold of it would change it slightly to make it about them and to control people in a Santa Claus type of way. And then each culture kind of took from it. And Jesus himself, who was missing in the Bible for like 17 years or something like that, was returned back to Israel, Palestine, and he was basically telling this story that had been told forever. Yeah, and to see it laid out like that, and for them to show you the zodiac and connect it all between Horus and the Lamb of God, and show how the connections between everyone was great. It was fantastic, and
that's what I mean.
Liberating.
It was delivered in a sensible and very articulated way. Even when it got to 9/11, right? It wasn't just flat out straight to batshit crazy. It was presented in a way that made you think. Right? Now,
and it wasn't biased politically.
No.
I think that's what got them through the middle, because they weren't. Obviously, they were very, at the time, anti-Bush, because Bush was, in their minds, using this, or maybe behind it, in a way to go to war in Afghanistan.
Finish
and
off what his father started, yeah.
Exactly right, in the original Gulf War, which he should have done. But again, they're tying all these things together. It made perfect sense. And then they got into the Rockefeller stuff and banking and finance and capitalism and all, and even that got you. But the older I get, and the more you know and you figure it out, and then you look back at these things, it becomes very transparent. And I don't know if they're doing it in a insidious way or trying to grift or anything like that, but you can see it kind of opens up to you their narrative. And unfortunately, like fucking all conspiracy theories, really, majority of them, like, and I'll argue with anyone about it, bring them forward, they all try to in some way blame Jewish people. It always comes down to that.
It's always the Jews, isn't it? Like it's
Poor fucks.
It's
They can't win.
Yeah, like you eventually see through the bullshit, and then it becomes funny, right? But
when you see, but you're right, it becomes funny to us. But
but it becomes dangerous, and that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
On the other hand, it becomes dangerous because you see people that genuinely jump onto this, and they jump onto the next one and the next one, and it gets to the point where they don't believe a word anybody says. They think that they know
unless
better.
they're your favorite YouTuber podcast or weirdo.
I guess the point. I mean, imagine if we had that following, right, where we could say whatever the fuck we want, and people believed every word said. That to me is just insane. That people get to that point that they just have no
They've no critical thinking.
It
of
comes
their
down to
own,
critical
and they've
thinking,
no way to
but
decide.
no trust at all. I understand not trusting people and trusting sources and those sorts of things, but not even having the trust in yourself to go and check and question what you're reading and thinking about. And like I said, like you said, it comes down to your critical thinking. But
And your confirmation bias, we all get trapped in it. What I do, because I kind of grew up very left and anti-colonial from being from Ireland, and very staunch Republican and hated the monarchy, was very anti-war at the beginning, and then a little bit pro-war. And I just started going back and forward to different news organizations and pundits and theorists, and it's like everyone from different angle. And I just realized the best thing you can do, you can find people you trust online or in newspapers or in any media group. I always trust but verify. So you might, I trust these people. I get you, but I'm going to just verify it. I'm going to go and I'm going to look to different sides of the aisle. I'm going to look to conservatives, libertarians, fucking progressives, liberals, fucking even down to socialists and communists. I'm going to hear everyone's point of view, verify it all, and figure out who's got a narrative, what they're trying to push, what they're trying to hide, and generally you'll find somewhere in between. And that's why I've kind of fell into a bit of a centrist, progressive place now. It's because I can't just listen to lefties. I can't just listen to even progressive or mainstream news. I have to listen to conservatives and right wingers too. Like, I'll listen to Ben Shapiro, because there's a part of some things I'll agree with him on, and I'll understand. Okay, you can trust Ben Shapiro when it comes to this, but when it comes to this, you can't, because he's biased. And then you can go to Al Jazeera and you'd be like, okay, I trust them when it comes to this, but they're still state-sponsored media. I can't trust them for that. Yeah. And after a while, you'll start to garner not a truth, but you'll start to understand what's worth believing in and trusting, and how much weight you're going to put behind things. But most people, especially people that are just getting into this stuff, they're going to find, okay, I like him. He speaks his mind. He's talking right. I'm going to listen to him. Then they'll listen to him, and then again, we always talk through the algorithm. Then, you like him? Well, you love, if you like Dan Bongino, you're going to like Tucker Carlson, you're going to like Ben Shapiro, you're going to like Sean Hannity, you're going to like Alex Jones, and then all of a sudden you're in, all the news that's coming at you is from one place. Yeah. And then you're only seeing clips from the other side that are taken out of context, and it's the same on the left. They're clipping Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson to try and make them seem crazier. And we thought the internet was supposed to be the age of information, but really, not all information is trustworthy. So,
you've got to challenge.
We don't have the skills to take it on.
You've always got to challenge your own beliefs and your own ideas, don't you? to ground yourself, if nothing else, to ground yourself and make sure that you aren't just eating up absolute shit. Because the reality is, like you said, you end up in an echo chamber, and you just become so ingrained in your ways, and you flat out wrong, but because you've got that confirmation bias and you just think everything that you say is true, or everything that your mentor or your idol says is true, then you just lose so much. They could be spurting
So much
absolute
context.
guts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is. You've said it before. I'm not sure if you're sort of alluding to it then, but trying to understand where the other side is coming from, and being somewhat compassionate to that to a degree, depending on the topic. But being somewhat compassionate towards what they are, or why they are so passionate about a certain topic, to understand the point of view and be able to, one, argue it better, and two, maybe draw them around, or open your mind to where they're coming from, and get that extra perspective. It is so important.
You have to empathise with people. Yeah,
absolutely. You gotta. They could be flat out wrong, right? So if you're arguing with a Nazi and they say, "I fucking hate all Jews just because they're different," you can't empathise with them, right?
We missed the Kanye shit as well.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's so
We
much
will
funny
get
shit.
back to
But
it.
yeah, go on. Yeah.
But I mean, you can't empathise with that. You can probably sit there and go,
you can't
why
empathise
does this
with it.
person hate Jews, right? And it might be a generational thing, but it's, you're not even gonna entertain the idea most of the time. But if it comes down to, someone believing in aliens, so to speak, and it's because they have just been, time and time again, the information that they've absorbed or they've been fed has been wrong, or they've found out to be lies, so they get to the point where they don't trust anything. To me, that's sad, where they just can't trust any information that's coming in, or they haven't got the critical thinking skills to read through the lines and differentiate what's real and what's fake. But to be able to sit there and understand where they've come to this conclusion and why they've ended up in that state, to then be able to communicate with them better, to get them into a position where you can communicate effectively, and it's not just a fucking slogfest of I'm right, you're wrong, But
when I'm talking with these people, I always try to operate in good faith. Like, I try to say, okay, start at a base level. I'd say 99% of people believe and want a good future for their country and the world and all. Yeah. We all have different methods that we want to get there. So I have to try and understand somebody and why they feel the way they do, and try and figure out their worldview a little bit to see what kind of lens they're looking at stuff through. And then you can start talking, you know what I mean? Like, and start making peace. I mean, yeah, they might be my enemy politically, but the only people you can make peace with are your enemies.
Yes.
Yeah, they're the only people you're at war with. So if we're gonna be adults here and not just pass down this issue to our kids that yell about and fight over and probably go to war and kill each other over, then we've got to I don't want to say man up. We've got to be adults. We've got to do what we're supposed to do. Like, within our politicians, they're supposed to be diplomats. So they're the people we chose to represent us, to go and to talk this stuff out. But ultimately, if we're just talking about a one-on-one conversation with someone that might hate the government, they've nothing, like, they might be someone who's been really hard done by the government.
Absolutely.
They might have all the right in the world to hate the government, through their own anecdote or whatever it is. But you have to kind of meet them there. And I think the more you talk to them about that, and you listen to them and you agree with them where you can, because that's a big important thing. And you can say, look, I understand, and you're trying to do this, and ultimately we want to be in the same place where we're all happy, prosperous, healthy, but we just have different ways to get there.
Yeah.
Now, why I disagree with you, and then you can start to come in on that kind of stuff. But really now, if you look at the discourse, the political discourse, it's fucking.
But it's because
knives to throats
because
to
we're
jump
at
in.
that stage where everything that they say, everything one side says,
Yep.
the other side jumps down their throat, doesn't even give them the chance to finish talking, and vice versa. So that you don't even meet in the middle, and it becomes so hostile. As hostile as what my bladder is at the moment. Right?
And on that, everybody, what we might do is we might take a little bit of a pill break. Will you stay tuned and listen to this word from our sponsors?
Do you have a leak? Maybe need a new install or got a nasty blockage? Then you need Prestige Plumbing and Gas. Whether it's in or outside your home or business, Prestige Plumbing and Gas have you sorted. With the wealth of knowledge and professionalism that you deserve, Prestige Plumbing and Gas will have the job done right the first time. Guaranteed. You don't want to let yourself get caught out by dodgy workmanship. You want honest, reliable, and quality tradesmen to put your mind at ease. So make Prestige Plumbing and Gas your first choice. Operating in the Hunter region, Prestige Plumbing and Gas are the right choice for your home or business. Call Sean on 0401 726 336 and make the right choice. Prestige Plumbing and Gas.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the house that Banter built. We're just before the break, and after that great advertisement for Prestige Plumbing and Gas, we were getting into a bit of conspiracy theory talk and all. And I think we just realised, hey, look, this could be a good fucking episode. If you have any cool conspiracy theories you want us to talk about, or you want us to talk about all of them, or you want to come on here and talk about conspiracy theories, hit us up down there.
I know one
Hit us up
person.
in the DMs.
One person
Yeah.
in particular that wants to.
There is one person I'd love to have
this
on
all
to chat about
originally
it.
started from sitting in Bondi's shed talking.
Yeah,
you know,
man, I'd love to
conspiracy
get him
theories
on.
and stuff, and
Every time I meet up with Bondi, wherever we are, it kind of goes down that path, and I love
Yeah.
it.
it's so
Gains
good, man.
attention.
It's so interesting, and you could go off on so many different tangents and talk about so many different things, and it's so prevalent in nowadays society, I suppose, because of
Yeah.
social media and the internet and those sorts of things. It's at your fingertips, essentially. You know, it's
Yeah, and there's always those two, like we were talking about, the two sides of politics or of social dynamics. They're always at odds with each other, so they're always accusing each other of conspiracy theories. And then some conspiracies are true as well, so you mash them all in, and it's definitely good banter. It's good banter, and sometimes conspiracy theories allow us to talk about subjects we would never talk about elsewhere, and they're good. They're not good entries into subjects, really, because you have the preconceived notion of it all being a conspiracy. But sometimes they do offer that entrance into whether it's foreign politics or religion or politics in itself domestically. It's heaps fun. It's fucking heaps fun to speculate.
even individuals, man. You know, like I mean, we've missed a fair bit of Kanye, right?
Man, we
all
got to
of
do,
that.
when Kanye comes back, which he will in some crazy fashion, we got to do a Kanye episode, recap what happened, that whole fiasco. Got to do a whole episode on that. And again, like, if you want to be part of that, you know, some Kanye shit,
Yeah, get on.
you want to be, or just want to be part of the conversation, hop in, let's speculate and have a laugh with that
Come
shit.
and have
'cause
a
that's
few
all it is.
drinks and fucking chill out.
Bruce, get the banter on. We had that. We had the UFC 284. Alexander Volkanovski came up short with Islam Makhachev, but obviously a great fight for Australia. He still came out champ at the end. He still stays pound for pound number one because he was fighting up. There were some judges that. There were some people that say the judges got it wrong and it should have been Volk. I'm one of those people. I think he got 3 rounds.
Someone's
Yeah.
the reactions to that fight that I saw were incredible. Like even you know, some big names that were involved and who were reacting to the outcome and the decision in that fight were just blown away. Joe Rogan's reaction, actually, I saw.
He gave Volk the fight. Yeah.
Yeah, but the reaction to that, and I'm not sure who was in the room with him at the time, but you see the video and they're videoing Joe Rogan to see his reaction, but you can hear.
Well, he's a fantastic analyst of MMA.
Man.
So whenever he's speaking and looking on something, that's something we'll talk about conspiracy theorists and all that. And Joe's partial to that. But when it comes to analysing the fight game, he is one of the best on earth. Multiple black belts in different disciplines himself, but he's very good. But if we just on Volk, he's not getting enough credit domestically. He is honestly he's the most successful Aussie fighter ever. And he's taken on big, huge challenges, and he's trying to bring things back to Australia and put it on the map. And he's possibly one of the best featherweights of all time. He just proved that he can hang with Islam Makhachev, and he did it in a way that everyone's getting finished by this guy. Everyone's getting destroyed by what is Khabib's protege, and he went in there and possibly won. You know what I mean? And there's also a lot of weird stuff going on behind the scenes of whether Islam broke the rules by getting an IV administered, because he's a huge guy. Islam probably walks around 190 pounds, and he's out there fighting at 155. Whereas Volk came up from featherweight to fight him. So there's a huge issue about possibly, and particularly in Australia with our IV rules here, be regulated. He might have fucked up. But c'est la vie. Fantastic fight. No losers in that fight. Volk got to walk away with his belt because he wasn't contesting his belt, because his belt's at 145, which Islam could never make. He went up to fight for the 155 belt. Islam won, so he takes his belt away. I think it sets it up for a good rematch. And I'd love to see it down under again, but you're probably looking at Vegas or Abu Dhabi for that one. But
which is fair.
He needs to be celebrated. He needs to, in fairness, Islam's first title defense was against one of the pound for pound number one, even though he was smaller than him. Like, he's pound for pound number one because he can't be heavyweight. He can't be lightweight champion. He can't, because of his size. But he did prove that he could have held that lightweight belt. You know what I mean? But great fight. I'd love us to commentate a bit more on the fights as they're going on, particularly we got an Aussie guy.
We definitely need to do Benny's suggestion of getting in a room one day with the camera rolling, and talking about the fights, even our reactions.
We could have it. We could
I'll
have
throw some nachos on. It'll be good because
bring smoke back from fucking, if you remember back in the Fireside Yarns days, people, in the first couple of episodes, I can't remember which one we had smoke on to talk about.
It's one of the early ones
of Conor McGregor. But he knows his shit, and it'd be good to hear his opinion on it.
Living with him was cool when I was living
and
with
doing
Smokey.
martial arts with him yourself, right?
Yeah. It was fun because I wasn't as passionate as what he was, but it was cool.
But you do have an actual history, right? Personally, with martial arts.
Yeah. Not
MMA, but karate is a fucking huge part of martial arts.
It's and jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. It's heavily involved, and it's
a base.
It's mainstream now, you would say.
Because of Mud Boy.
Yeah.
Who's back. Here, that's another one we could do. He's doing the Ultimate Fighter, but because his return date is set for the end of the year. He's going to face Michael Chandler, who was a fucking beast. He's fucking top 5 in lightweight, and Conor's going to return back to him.
So he doesn't need to fight, though. This is the...
I know. But, and when he does fight, he fights like some of the best people in the world. It's like, fucking, you can't take years off and fight them. However...
And he has been enjoying himself too.
Yeah,
as he should. He's earned it.
He's killing it. But he's going to do an Ultimate Fighter now.
Yeah,
him and Michael Chandler are going to have 2 teams go against each other. Conor's got a couple of guys from his camp. Michael Chandler's got some and Conor's got some mixed in other prospects. Same with Michael Chandler. They're going to be 2 coaches of 2 MMA teams going against each other. That's going to start in May. And it's going to go up until and it'll build up to their fights. It'll have some fun reactions in the Ultimate Fighter house. And that's where Conor's at his best. But it'll be good to pay attention to that. And again, honestly, you're not going to see the same Conor McGregor. He was once one of the best fighters on earth. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. He
You
went the
cannot-
first ever double champ, still holds the
can't
fastest
argue it.
knockout.
You can't
No,
argue it.
you
man.
can't.
Like he, on how many occasions were the bets against him? He turned around and finished it in a record, not only a record
A round
time,
or
but
2 rounds or 13 seconds. Yeah.
even his own predictions. Right?
Mystic
And
Mac.
a lot of people pass it down to arrogance, but his own predictions, he backed himself, trained for that. He knew his opponents. He, phenomenal fighter. He's a really good salesman as well, because whether you love him or hate
He's
him,
made
you're
more
gonna
money
watch-
outside of MMA
He
than
has,
inside of it.
But whether you love him or hate him, you're going to watch the fight, aren't you? And that, at the end of the day, that's what he's there to do.
He's
is
a prize fighter.
to
He gets
fight
people invested.
and draw crowds. Because it's a company, it's a competition. They need to, they're there to make money, right?
They're not paid by the hour either, guys.
No.
So you want to get in and make as much money as you can before your marbles are scrambled. And if you look at the top 10 MMA pay-per-views of all time, he's got 8 of them.
Yep.
And they're all the top 8.
Well, you
So
look at Mike
yeah.
Tyson. Mike Tyson was one of his drawing cards he was just an animal.
Yeah.
He was aggressive, and people want to see people knocked out when it comes to fighting. So, if you're not talking the talk and then backing it up, right? You could be the best fighter in the world, but you're not selling the pay-per-views. You're not drawing the crowds as much as what Conor McGregor was doing, because he's a salesman, he's a showman, and he's a competitor, and you just can't get away from that.
He advanced the sport. He brought eyes
absolutely.
to it. And also, like a lot of people say, again, he is the showman, he is a salesman, he's a prize fighter, he gets the pay-per-view watchers, but he has the accolades too. We were just talking about Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev having to fight 2 champions against each other for the 145-pound belt and the 155-pound belt. Oh my God, the top 1 and 2 pound-for-pound fighters ever. Conor held both those belts at the same time.
Yeah.
Both those exact belts at the same time, and how he did it was he knocked out the featherweight champion in 13 seconds, the pound-for-pound number 1 at the time, Jose Aldo, who doesn't get his credit. He just won a boxing match the other week, by the way. Jose Aldo's a legend. I still class him as the best featherweight champion ever. Even though towards the end of his career, like all fighters, he started to lose. Like that's the name of the game.
It's normal.
You can't be mad. Like Conor McGregor himself is nearly 15 years into this sport, more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like for him to
You
still
can't be
be
at
the
your
top,
peak forever. You can't.
never. Especially not the way he parties and takes years off and breaks his shin in half. And there's got to. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see how he comes back. But that's just one thing. I didn't mean to get. you got me on the
just,
Conor McGregor.
Just quickly, what you were saying about him advancing the sport. He didn't just advance it in the way of publicity and mainstream, but he advanced in the sense that of competition. Because just being his personality and being as good for all those people in that want to flog the piss out of him. They train harder. He was at a level that they needed to step up their game to even be competitive with him. So now you're at a standard in that competition that you wouldn't have seen, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, those sorts of things. So, he has advanced that sport in more ways than one, and you can't deny the fact that he's one of the greatest, not just MMA fighters, but fighters, and that's including
Prize
boxing
fighters.
and those. Yep, he's just he's up there. He's a household name, and that's for a reason, because he is who he is, and he's as good as what he is.
Rising tide raises all ships.
Absolutely.
Daniel Cormier came in, and Daniel Cormier again is one of the best lightweights and heavyweight fighters of all time, and an Olympian. And he even said, "Hey, Conor was the first one to be like, hey, I'm not just happy with this weight class. I want to hold, you know what I mean? I want to be the champ." Like, so now everyone's trying to do that, and there's still nobody to this day, except for a female fighter, Amanda Nunes, that is a lineal champ. Every other person who has won 2 belts consecutively has done it because the other so say Daniel Cormier, for example, he was the heavyweight champion because he beat the heavyweight, but he went down to the lightweight to beat John Jones, but he couldn't beat John Jones. But then John Jones had to relinquish the belt because of steroids and picograms and all that shit, whatever. I don't want to get into that at the moment. But DC then fought for a vacant belt and became champ.
Yeah.
The lower fighters, Henry Cejudo, he, after TJ Dillashaw popped for EPO and had to vacate his belt, he fought and became champ with someone else. Neither of them were champions. So Conor's the only one to knock out the two champions to get his belt, and they're not only two champions, two lineal pound for pound guys, and unbelievable performances, and a legend in the sport. Went on then to fight Floyd Mayweather, who is the greatest of his generation, to fight the most defensive boxer ever. The boxer that specializes in not getting hit and to land uppercuts and to go 10 rounds. Phenomenal, with only a couple of months preparation, and to make intergenerational wealth for his family. I'll always say this: when Conor came up in the sport, I was already in the sport. I loved it because I was in there from Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, Rampage Jackson, Vanderlei Silva, these great characters in that golden age of MMA. And then I seen this little fucking Dublin guy in 2013 come in, and he was a smart ass and he was funny and he was doing his thing and knocking cunts out. I was like, wow.
And came from a couple of streets over from where you...
He is from the area, and he's my age, and there was just something beautiful about him. And I know 1,000 guys like Conor McGregor growing up in Dublin. He was salt of the earth, and to see him do what he did, and in Europe, which is Cage Warriors, is the premier European promotion,
competition.
Right? Yeah, and he won the lightweight and the featherweight belt there, and he said, my dream is I want three things. I want to go to the UFC, and I want to recreate what I did in Cage Warriors. I want to win the featherweight title and the lightweight title. No one's ever done it in the UFC, in the top game, and I'm going to do it. And he fucking did it. He called the shot and he did it. He said, the second thing I want is intergenerational wealth for my family. I never want my family to want for it, and I want my kids' to be sorted, and they are. And he said, and then I want to bounce and do whatever I want and box and, and he's already done that. So I think that's what happened with Conor. By 2016-17, he had actually accomplished all of his dreams. And everyone laughed at him. They laughed. It's like this fucking little McNugget, Irish leprechaun, whatever. Like, oh my, no other Irish fella had ever won a UFC, fight like that. And then for him to come on and to do that, and he was like kind of like a mix of fucking. He's like a leprechaun, Cassius Clay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they were giving him he's a mouth. Because the same with Ali. Everyone hated Ali back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's disrespecting the sport. He's showing up at weigh-ins and doing all this kind of stuff and being crazy. They actually hooked up a heart monitor to him because they thought he was crazy, Ali. He was showing up at Sonny Liston's house with a megaphone at night. Like, he was doing crazy stuff, and people hated him. They called him the Louisville Lip, and to see, obviously, not comparing Conor to Ali in at all, because Ali is a cultural figure. He's beyond the sport and a powerful figure of his community, which Conor honestly isn't. Like, he's not a political person who has had to go through that type of adversity. But you could compare him to Cassius Clay.
So around the time of Conor, right, you didn't have the civil rights movement stuff that Ali was
not those, but the gay rights thing was kind of happening at the time, and he was out there with a rainbow flag because one of his coaches was a lesbian. You know what I mean? At SBG, her name escapes me now, and I'm ashamed of that. But she was again a UFC fighter. She's incredible herself, but he grew up with that, had respect in it, and to be in a fight game and to be a fucking hand-to-hand combat scary fucking dude, to be like, gay people should be able to get married. That just doesn't happen. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get a lot of that happening, especially at that time. But he himself, if he was a gay guy, that'd be different. Then he could be that trailblazer. But that's not who he was. His game was, I'm gonna bring the pro wrestling pay-per-views, the Ali stuff. I'm gonna generate it. Like you said, whether you love him or hate him, you're watching.
Yeah,
it's a fight. It's not, oh my god, this is we're both fucking mixed martial artist practitioners, and you know what I mean. This is MMA. It's a sport. Let's get points on each other. Anytime Conor fought, it was like, oh my god, they're gonna fight each other. This is gonna be a fight.
He built the hype. He built the
Yeah.
angst between them. Even if, like, it could have been fake for all I care.
It is fake. He said to Ariel Helwani, yeah.
No, between the two, like, they could be sitting there later on laughing about it. You could tell between Conor and Khabib, there was hatred there. That made you want to watch it even more. So, you know, he's a salesman.
But win or loss, he always, absolutely, like, and he came out of a press conference one time, and there's another thing. He would get people showing up to his press conferences and his weigh-ins more than people would show up to fights for other people. Like, it was a huge extravaganza, and he put on this crazy thing against Rafael dos Anjos, and people are like, Conor is mental, Conor's crazy. He's like, and he walked backstage to Ariel Helwani, who was about to interview him, and he said to her, Ariel Helwani, what was it? The illusion of insanity is over. Now it's time to work. So he like acted crazy on stage, and then when he came off stage, he just went.
That's
he
the showman.
He turned it off.
That's the showman.
He knew.
You know,
times,
you look at
times
actors;
up.
they do it all the time. You know, the action, and they're fucking. You know. Anyway, but
anyway, we went to Conor McGregor tangent to move on to a different martial artist. There was Andrew Tate as well. He's arrested. He's currently in a Romanian jail for sex trafficking, rape accusations, tax fraud, you name it. Like this, and you know, we could fucking do a whole episode about.
We're gonna watch that. We're gonna watch that, I think, because as it unfolds, then we'll do almost where it started, where it come from, and where these. It's a huge story. I mean,
I've been following
one of those
him
things
for a long time too.
Whether you
not as a fan, but as an influential figure. Oh my God, obviously not someone.
Well, he's another one of those people. I'm not a fan
of Andrew Tate,
right?
The Red Pill community, yeah.
Yeah, whether you love him or hate him, you know who he is. I'm not a fan of the guy. I know a lot of people that have listened to stuff that he has said and gone, oh, makes sense, but you know that becomes a rabbit hole in my opinion. I won't get too much into what I think of the bloke or too much about him, because we're gonna do an episode on that and talk about that, because then we can let it all unfold about what's going on there. Because
currently he's in jail, and he's been held until the investigation has been completed, so he can, and then they'll charge him. So it's a bit different in the Romanian system, which it's funny because he's been very outward about the reason he moved to Romania was because he felt like the regulations for sex work and stuff like that were very lax. So it's funny to see him now in front of the
well, it'll be
the
interesting to
barrel
look back and see what international pressure has come in there, because he ruffled a lot of feathers prior to that.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, if you were to believe the things he said, then in a lot of ways he is guilty. Like, a lot of his case is going to be that's a character I'm playing, and I don't believe me when I say that, because his Hustler University videos, which you would be behind a paywall, which a lot of these young impressionable men and boys would pay him to get his advice on how to start a cammon business, how to be a man, how to get in shape and all, and really I think there is some good stuff behind what he says about guys getting in shape and about being physically fit and stuff like that, and you know, same with Jordan Peterson, clean your room, that type of stuff.
There's a lot of things that shit people say that are good, and they're common sense, and they sound good, and they're influential, or not influential, but they are beneficial.
There's merit behind it.
There's merit behind it. All right. I'm not going to say that Hitler said some stuff that was fantastic, but there was probably a lot of things that he said throughout his time, right, that made sense. Well, when you look at it from a whole perspective, right, for Germany at that time, he was the best thing for Germany at that time, given that they were so heavily oppressed due to the results of World War One, right? Methods and other shit. takes it out of context. So these people that are fucked, right, and they do say the occasional thing, and that's where that are following them completely, taking some of the things that they say, but recognizing that they're fucking pieces of shit when they are. And there is other sources to get that beneficial information and that beneficial advice from some people that are just flat out. But you know, it's we'll get there. We'll do the episode on it because
the
I could
things
go.
he talked about, like before we know what he's even been charged of, like on camera, he's admitted to tax fraud. He's admitted that the money he was getting from the cam business he would take from crypto, and when he was stealing wages and committing tax fraud. Like on the video, he's like, when the girl asks you, oh, I want to pay tax, you just lie to them and say, okay, yeah, look, that's going to be 40% tax or 10% tax, or I'll just sign here. And he say, just go to the internet, print off a tax document and put it in front of the girls. Like, there you go, you want to pay tax, pay this. And they'll be like, okay, yeah. And he would just take that off the top of their wages and not pay tax. Like he admitted to all this stuff on camera. He admitted to the lover boy method, which is a way of trafficking girls to a country and tricking them into believing they're your girlfriend and then introducing them to the camp. There's so many things he's done that I don't even get into the rape stuff. Yeah. The rape stuff, because I don't know the evidence. I haven't seen any of that stuff yet.
That's why when we go back and do the episode, we'll go back all the way through.
There'll be stuff there.
Collect all the whole story, both sides of it, so that I'm unbiased. And if we've got somebody that is interested to come on to talk about it, absolutely. We would like to have two. We'd like to have one for and one against. That would be.
We don't want to be that echo chamber, you know. And we want to talk to people in good faith. We want to
challenge the boundaries and challenge ourselves and make sure we're not falling into that biasness, because in a lot of ways we think the same. In a lot of ways we do challenge each other with other things. But having that external input is always good, and being open to that external input, because if you put the wall up and you're just like, I don't want to hear what anybody else has to say, or the other side has to say, you're already in the fucking.
They're not going to listen to you either.
No,
you know, I want to have good conversations where we can come to terms.
I think hot sauce challenges are shit. I think hot sauce challenges are shit. Right? You'll probably disagree with me.
Well, yeah, remember, you're talking to the hot shit champion right now. You can see it there in its glory.
Yeah.
Retired now. We
were talking the other night about me coming down again. And I think that might have to be a few hot wings on just for memory's sake. But
Colin, yeah, we got to bring him in. He's got a fucking plastic tongue. So he's a dark horse.
Colin's Man,
you look back at that video he did. He was fucking slapping them wings like they were nothing.
I remember sitting there, and it was only after watching it through the second time. I remember there was
a good day too. Shout out to Reese. That was a good day.
Man, it was a really good weekend. But yeah, Colin, man, I remember sitting there a few times just going, can't finish that. Like, I've had my bite. That's fucking hot. And Colin was just like,
he goes, boom. He's like an American with his wings. He is, yeah.
Yeah, what do I call him? He learned it from his South African wife when she.
Oh yeah, South African. Who is Samoan, by the way.
Yeah. That's all.
Well, here, look. There's that. We can get into that. I want to get into AI at the moment, whether it's the complications around AI art. And people are like, oh, it's not, it's against artists, it's this, it's that. And that's good. Is AI taking jobs? Will they take over? Will we evolve and merge with AI? What's going to happen? That's a fantastic thing. That might even be a Bondy one. That might be a Bondy one, you know, like trans people at the moment, their civil rights movement, whether they should be in sports or not, or like, there's so many things we can talk about that are relevant right now. Ukraine hitting its fucking second year of war. Fuck.
Essentially, we've got a lot of topics to talk about.
Heaps to talk about.
We've got plenty of guests lined up that we're going to bring on and talk to. Saying that, we've been looking into, and we're going to do it a fair bit more, is having live chats through our Discord, so that people can jump in and we'll announce when we're doing certain episodes, so that people, even if
Yeah.
they don't want to get on and chat, they can jump in and talk to us through messages. And also this year we've lined up, we're going to do a few live shows so that you can jump in the chat scene and get involved, and they'll be recorded as well. So even if you can't get involved,
Come along in
with
person too. Maybe some
Yeah.
people.
we've
Like,
so
there's so much, right?
We've got the Discord set up now, so that essentially when we do a live show, we can have people sitting there in the waiting room and drag people in.
Click on
We've
that
been doing
link
a bit
tree,
of-
guys.
Even though we've had some time
Hop on
off,
the
we've
Discord.
been doing a bit of work still. But
You got some shit in store, right?
we do. We're ready to go.
But,
And we've got the fucking surroundings. But the important thing is that we're back for 2023.
We're back, 2023. I'm glad we got in here. This episode was just about kind of greasing the wheels and fucking getting back behind this shit and this shit and just seeing how we go. And obviously, Vinno been through the move and everything, setting your setup up. Fuck, it's a pain in the arse.
It'll be less bland in the background in the next.
Dude, bland. I'm loving that. I want to go there now and I want to play
Oh,
pool
dude.
with you. And man, we'll do a live.
There'll be an
we'll get on
episode.
each other's shit.
There'll be a couch along there, and an episode done along there at some stage. So. But yeah,
But yeah, look, without we've greased the wheels now. We're lubricated. We're ready. Now
We're
it's
moist.
up to you guys. Tune in next week to see that No Quarter interview from last year. Support that band. Great music. We go through their latest album track by track. We talk about what it means behind the song. We also get into music in general and talk about how they got together. For me, obviously, I
Just
didn't
awesome
come up with them.
dudes.
You did, but
Yeah.
for
Awesome
me, it was a
guys,
great
and
learning experience.
It was
Fantastic.
amazing having them on, and considering that the older we've gotten and don't get to catch up with people as much anymore, just having those guys on and talking about old times plus their new music and seeing where those guys have come to, and being able to observe from the outside where they took off and got to and where they're still going. Like, it's just incredible that they're still passionate, and they are where they are. Just jump on
Making
and watch that
relevant
episode.
music too. They're
Dude.
talking about social media. They're talking about all the stuff that's at the forefront now, as well as what I love about that album, nostalgia. They talk about those days too. I don't want to spoil anything. Watch it next week. Phenomenal show. Great dudes. So happy
aware
and grateful
that
they came on.
Just discredit anything that we mentioned about releasing it
a
before
little bit of
Christmas, right? Because
There's a little
yeah.
gap there.
There's a gap.
And
There's a gap.
and the tours happen. We might not get tickets, but check. Check to see if they're coming to your town. Great band, and for someone like me who's kind of music's taken a back space in my life a little bit now, as you know, Vinno, when kids get involved and when you're building your family and your house and everything like that, you have a lot less time to just listen to music. So it was great for me to just say, I'm going to put some time aside. I'm going to listen to this album, and it really got me wanting to do it as well. And to see they did a little Metallica cover there as well. So great lads, check that out. Pay attention to this channel. If you're not subscribed, motherfucker, you subscribe down there. Click that shit. Sub to us, alright? It doesn't cost that, and it helps the channel, and it just means you're gonna get them notifications if you click that bell for when we drop the next thing. And have your say. More than anything, we want people to be like, "Oh, I didn't really agree with you here," or "Oh, I really agree with this," or "I'd love to hear you."
We've
talk
had it
about this.
before, haven't we? And
Yeah,
we've
mate.
really enjoyed that conversation. Even like neither of us are afraid to admit when we're wrong, and
Yeah.
we're more than happy to be proven wrong, because as we were talking about tonight, we do get in that sense of confirmation bias.
Yep.
You start to fall in, whether you like it or not, into some sort of an echo chamber with people that you surround yourself with and your friends and stuff.
Yep.
So we like to be challenged. We're
no better than anybody.
We're only human.
Been proven wrong is like your first day of being right. or your first day on the road.
It's a wake up
having
call.
a more nuanced. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I love changing my opinion on stuff because I'm like, and then learning, and then when I talk to people that have my old opinion, I can empathize with them. I can talk with them. I can try and take them to my side a bit. Maybe they'll drag me back. Who fucking knows?
I love learning new things. So, if I think that I know, one side of it, and then I get shown and I learn a new thing, I love that. So, even if it's
spice
about
of life,
even if it's not, argumentative, confrontational, just introducing us to a new topic that I love learning about that because one thing that we have done in the past is knuckled down and done research and learnt about a topic to talk about it because it has been requested. Get on that.
Yeah, it'd be good to do another, like we planned, Afghanistan recap. See how they are going now since Biden and us as well, because whenever the US pulled the troops out, Australia does too. We're so connected to America, and it's so important that we understand our place in that defense pact. But again, just because we left that country doesn't mean that we should forget about them. It'd be great to catch up with the story and how Afghanistan is hopefully progressing and settling into their new country, really, and that'd be great to catch up and see what's changed there. But Vinno, we're getting to that time now.
We are.
It is time to say goodbye. The banter has ended. The banter has ended,
For this week.
For this week.
It has started.
We've got a lot of... Catch up with the old shit. If you haven't watched those old episodes, you fucking watch them. Click like, click subscribe. Great to be back, Vinno. Thanks again. Little T.O.'s in the world now.
Mate.
Cheers.
Off and running.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.